Start that
Or do you
recording.
want to look at these and see how you would want to move them around?
No, I'm fine. I just don't
Okay.
think
You're
personally.
gonna have some lopsided weeks. You're gonna have weeks where it's like, whoa, that's a tough matchup.
I don't understand how you have cinnamon roll going against biscuits and gravy. Like those are two top tier meals, but you know.
Okay, so right now I have French toast and the sausage breakfast burrito,
Okay.
the brisket breakfast taco, and the sausage breakfast pizza.
You and your torchies.
Yeah, French toast and pancakes.
Uh okay, there it is. I'm in it
Okay.
now. Mm,
For me, I tried to put something up like that sausage breakfast, sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich up against something that it's obviously going to lose to, since we did not want to see
oh,
that one
by
advance.
the
So
way,
that's why I put omelet. Uh
by
huh.
the way, mid show Danielle changed it to chorizo.
So it would have been a tie.
It would have been a tie. And then we would have done our phone a friend, and we would have called Amy.
So do we want to change that to the chorizo,
Nope,
egg, and cheese?
nope.
Okay.
Because we are not, we don't rig elections here. Uh, man, there's such good ones that I think.
I know.
Ooh, I don't know which one I'm gonna. So I think you're probably right. Like I think you have everything as close to as possible, so we'll just go with it. I'm good with it.
Okay. So bacon, Canadian bacon. We're into the second round.
Okay.
Okay.
By the way, I started the recording like 2 minutes ago, but that's okay.
Of course you
This
did.
is bonus
It's okay.
content for those that are listening in podcast land or YouTube. Hopefully, I'll get it up today. I'll have a little bit of time after
Okay.
the show.
All right. Good. Good. All right.
Ready?
Yeah. Let's go with it.
And we're live here on Facebook. Like to welcome those listening in podcast land, and also like to welcome my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing this week?
I'm doing good, Mike. Little bit of a long week because my foot wasn't feeling the best. But yeah, made it work. Made it work. Got through the week, and should be good now.
Yeah.
Should be good now. So
Tart cherry juice.
yeah, was taking some cherry juice all week. So
Yeah.
but yeah. Other than that, pretty uneventful week. Besides something that I'll discuss in the shout outs. So
Yeah.
but yeah. So Mike, did you get out to see the Northern Lights last week? You made reference of that those were viewable.
We totally got out
in last week's show.
I got out twice. The first night was like it looked like a fog, but then when you took a picture, you saw the lights and it was really cool. The second night, oh my goodness! I went out the second night by myself. Like the whole sky, the lights were breathing, and you could see the pulsing of it, and you could see the shimmer, and you could see like the coolest one for me. Like I'm looking off in the distance. I'm taking pictures, trying to get pictures of my motorcycle and the Northern Lights at the same time and stuff like that. I got some really cool pictures, but then all of a sudden I just look straight up, and you see beams of light just going straight up in the air, and it's remember those lights, those like searchlight thingies that would twirl around when a car dealer was having a big sale and they were open late at night and stuff. Or yeah, it looked like that, but it was like pink and green lights just shooting up from out of nowhere. Coolest thing I've ever seen. I got so excited. I made my wife wake up the kids, and we took them out. And by the time we got out there, 20 minutes after the phone call that I made, we got to the same exact spot, and it was dead, and I felt terrible. But it was some of the most amazing. Like, I still want to go to Canada or Alaska or Norway or Iceland and actually see it from like way up north where you can see a little bit more of the coolness. But I legitimately feel like I saw the Northern Lights in near full beauty, and it was awesome. And it was great. So, but no, it was great. And then Sunday night, we went down to state, and I will talk about that later. Along with, by the way, see how I did that transition there?
Yep.
Boom! Look at that. Along with, we're going to talk playoffs. Rich, what else do we got today?
Well, Mike, we got to talk about some NASCAR as we have the All-Star race this week, and also a new twist to next year's schedule.
Weird.
As well as we got to pick some ponies, talk the Cubs, and football. But Mike, all that and more. What do we got to do first, bud?
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich, poll questions. We got some big news on it.
Yes.
Are you ready for the big news? First, we got to go through last week's poll question, then you're going to share the news of what comes after that. We did Chex versus shredded wheat. Now, did you put, is it any shredded wheat, or is it just the specific, or is
just the shredded wheat, not the frosted mini wheat.
Well,
so just the plain old shredded wheat.
I mean, we only had 4 votes. One person voted for shredded wheats. We had 5 votes. Sorry, that's Mark Hendricks. The 4 people that voted for Chex, well, it's you, me, and our wives all voted for Chex.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer like the cinnamon Chex for regular Chex, but if you're gonna make Chex Mix or Puppy Chow, you got to have rice Chex on hand. So that's what swayed the vote, and I don't think I've ever had shredded wheat.
You know, I mean, I've never had shredded wheat as just plain shredded wheat. I've always had the frosted shredded wheat. But I actually don't mind a bowl of just straight rice Chex in general. It's not sweet. I don't think you need sweetness in your breakfast, but, you know, some people do. But, yeah. So, with that, Rich, what is this week's poll question?
Well, Mike, before I give the 2 breakfast entrees, it is round 2. Round 2. So we are in the Elite 8. We have 8 matchups to give you for breakfast entrees. Next week it'll be the first round 2 matchup for breakfast cereals as well. And this week we're going to look at bacon versus Canadian bacon. So how do you like your bacon?
It's not even how you like it. It's which kind of bacon you like.
Sorry. But thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
So, yes, I will try and get that poll up once we finish up here
because I guarantee
on our video chat.
I'm pretty sure you and I agree. I think we've had this conversation. The way we like our bacon, we both like it slightly on the chewy side.
Mm-hmm. We do.
And apparently all old people like it on the crispy side. So I guess I know I'm still young because I don't like crispy bacon.
I don't know if I'll ever change my bacon preference.
I totally agree. Okay, Rich, let's blast through this playoff stuff. The Nuggets were defeated defeated the Lakers 4-1 in round 1. The series is tied with the Wolves 3 games apiece. Game 7 is tonight. Watch for that. Tonight at 6, I think, or is it 7? I don't know.
We're probably not going to watch it either way. Mike, as we said last week, your Golden Knights were eliminated in round 1 by the Stars. My pick of the Rangers for the Stanley Cup is moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals, as they have now as they defeated the Hurricanes in round 2, 4-2, in addition to sweeping the Capitals in round 1. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals will be against the Panthers on Wednesday in New York City.
And the Canucks are doing pretty good, aren't they?
They are. The Canucks are.
I want to see them. I kind of want them to win now. I mean, personally, I'm an original
I'm trying to think if the Canucks were an original six team.
Or original six. They were not. And so, but I don't think there is an original six team in. So then you got to say, go Canada.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a Canadian team back in the Stanley Cup. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Okay, Rich, do you see what's coming up next?
Mike, is it a left-hand turn?
It is a left-hand turn. And Rich, after that?
Is it another left-hand turn?
It is, because we're heading into the NASCAR corner. Presented, as always, by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs on 5th Avenue in Moline or on their eBay store. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Okay, Rich, last week they were in Darlington for the Goodyear 400. Brad Keselowski was your winner. Snapping a 110 race winless streak. Man, that's good to see for Brad Keselowski. When he came into the scene, you weren't around when it happened, but when he came into the scene, the man was on a tear, was doing great, and then has had a couple slumps recently, and most recently a 110 race winless streak. That's like 2 years almost. No, that's more than 2 years. That's almost 4 years. Because they do 36 races a year, roughly. So, yeah, that'd be 3.5 years. Wow.
No, that is crazy to think how many races he went without getting a win. I mean, I think last year was, I don't know if rebuilding is a thing in NASCAR, but, I mean, he was adjusting to being on a new team as he joined forces with Roush Fenway and bought into them. So he was kind of adjusting to being a driver owner and being maybe in a team. Would it maybe be safe to say that probably the resources financially are different between Roush Fenway and Roger Penske, or are they? I mean, they'd be about the same.
It's not about the resources they have. It's about where they use their resources. Mr. Rout, the Cat in the Hat is amazing. One of my favorite. He has been my favorite owner for years. But he doesn't like. I don't know. It's how they use their resources. I don't think either of them is using them wrong. I just think that it's one of those things where you never know. Like, your research team does things a little different than that research team. So I think Roush Fenway, Keselowski is a little bit different, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. So anyway, Brad Keselowski was your winner.
Yep.
After Chris Buescher, and was it William Byron?
I didn't get to see any of the race. I was in a car driving to Marshalltown, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, I think it was William Byron. Both, maybe it was Reddick. One of the two. I think it was Reddick. Reddick and him got into one of those last lap wrecks when one of them was trying to block again. So Chris Buescher getting blocked from a win, or trying to race for a win, gets himself wrecked. But his teammate Brad Keselowski at least got the win. So, Mike, as far as our two drivers, Denny Hamlin in 4th, my pick of Chase Elliott came in 12th. So you are up 9-8.
Yeah, I like, again, not because I'm up, but it's been fun that this year you and I have been really close when it comes to this, to picking and getting all that stuff. Rich, like you said earlier, we have the All-Star race. That means this doesn't matter. Oh, you want to talk about fantasy, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's give the fantasy NASCAR before we go to, because it's a good breaking point.
Yes it is.
So heading into the All-Star break, which does not count as a fantasy NASCAR race because it's an exhibition race.
Yep.
In 3rd place is the new Dupo with 2062. Mike, you're in 2nd place with 2337, and I'm in 1st place with 2531 at the All-Star break.
Okay. Rich, like you said, this is the All-Star break. Points don't matter when it comes to fantasy, so take a week off. Just have fun. They are in Norks Wilkesboro. I love watching races in Norks Wilkesboro. Hopefully I get some time to do that this weekend. Otherwise, whatever, no big deal.
It's a Sunday night race, so you might get to see at least the end if you choose to stay up after everybody goes to bed.
Yep. I do have some I'll have something to say at the end.
Okay.
Because I know that you have a shout out that you want to do at the end of maybe at the end of this week. I think probably, maybe next week. I don't know when you're planning on doing that shout out, but you have a shout out to do. I think maybe. Anyway, you look confused.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway.
So do you? Yeah. So who are you picking, Mike?
You know what? It's all or nothing. I'm gonna pick Denny Hamlin. He's my guy.
All right. I'm gonna use the same logic, and I'm gonna go with Ross Chastain. It's tempting to pick Kyle Larson because he's won 3 of the last 5 All-Star races, but he's busy also in Indianapolis, as he's also needing to qualify for the Indy 500. So his car is being qualified for the race by Kevin Harvick, but he'll still be racing. He'll be in North Carolina on Sunday for the race.
Yeah.
So, Mike, another thing came out with in the NASCAR world, as they are going to try an in-season tournament, and it's being tied to try and make the races on TNT maybe gain some extra eyes on those races, because next year, which we'll probably go into more detail in our NASCAR preview for 2025, you'll have games. There are multiple networks, not just the Fox and the NBC family of networks broadcasting races, but also Amazon Prime and now TNT. So for the TNT races, they are going to have a mid-season tournament, which will net the driver $1 million prize. So for 6
fans
races,
don't care.
I'm sorry?
Fans don't care. Like, fine, do it. It's fun, but I don't think the fans are going to care at all. Is this going to make you tune in?
I was going to tune in regardless. And I don't think your diehard NASCAR fans are going to tune in regardless.
Right.
It's not going to matter if there's a head-to-head matchup between your driver and
by the way,
your rival driver.
I'm also going to point out, this isn't they're going to TNT. They're going back to TNT. TNT was one of the original, Fox and TNT did NASCAR years ago. If you, Rich, if you go to YouTube, you can watch almost any historical race that NASCAR has ever had on broadcast TV. When you do that, you will find out that there's a lot of TNT races on there. TNT was a big thing. That was one of the places where NASCAR found a good home. Before the Speed Network, NASCAR was on TNT. It was great. We got to watch a lot of NASCAR on there. So I'm not to me it feels like a return to a home. Now, I'm worried about how their production's going to be because they haven't done it in almost 20 years.
They will have Dale Jr. behind the mic, though.
I'm still worried. I don't think Dale Dale does okay. I don't think he's great in the booth up there, but we'll see. I'm still excited for it, but yeah, the fact that I don't know.
So I guess you're going to see the seeding races for this bracket tournament will feature 32 drivers, and the seeding races will happen on the last 3 races broadcast on Amazon Prime, going into to set the bracket for the TNT races, to where it'll be kind of like our bonus picks for fantasy NASCAR. So you could have a Kyle Larson versus top 32. So maybe more than likely, because Kyle Larson is a top flight driver. Let's say like a Kyle Larson versus a
Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace or something like that. So you move on in the tournament just based off of who finishes higher at that particular race.
Okay. I'm fine with it. I don't think it's that. Like, whatever. The extra million's cool, but these guys... I mean, do you
think the drivers care about it to where you'll have like a spotter like, all right, I got no chance of winning this race. Who am I going up against this week? BJ Novak. All right, how far ahead I am of BJ Novak or BJ McLeod or something like that? How far ahead of him am I?
Yeah, sure, maybe.
Or do you think the drivers won't care about it until it's like that last race where they're the two? I
don't know that they're going to care. Every driver wants to win every week. Like, that's what they want. You can't... I don't know. You can't...
I don't know. I'm sure that we'll talk more about this next year, especially when I'm sure NASCAR is going to be hyping it up that, hey, this is the start of the seeding races.
Yeah.
And when the bracket finishes, and we can probably even put it together of looking at the bracket matchups, who do we think will end up winning the $1 million prize of this in-season tournament?
Now, what I want them to do is I want them to do a March Madness-style bracket challenge in it. Like that. That to me would be fun. I'm game for that.
I'm sure they will. You think they'd have to do something like that.
But if you're not doing that, don't come at me with it. I'm not here for it. So, Rich, anything else?
I don't, Mike. So let's keep making left-hand turns, but let's go to the dirt because we got to pick some ponies for the Preakness Stakes out in Baltimore this week, Mike. So Mike, who are you picking as your pony?
Just because I like the name Uncle Heavy, why not?
All right. And I'm going to go with Tuscan Gold.
Okay.
Tuscan Gold.
That sounds
so Mike
good.
will recap how our ponies did on next week's show. Finally, Mike, we're going to keep making left-hand turns. We're going to stay on the dirt, but it's going to be on the baseball diamond, Mike.
Yep.
So, Mike, who did the Cubs play this week?
So this last week, the Cubs played 2 against the Pirates, 3 against the Braves, and then 2 more against the Pirates.
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now. Mike, from show to show, they got 2 wins as they split the 2 games from show to show with Pittsburgh. They dropped 3 of 2 with the Braves, which is, I think, what we both thought would happen, only taking 1 out of the 3. But, Mike, they got beat by the Buccos at home on Thursday and Friday.
And that's a lot of why I said 3.
Okay.
Because, again, it's the Pirates. Like, yes, they're the bottom team in our division, but they're still in the division. So you can't count anything out. And I guess that doesn't mean as much anymore with this quote-unquote balanced schedule, but it kind of does, doesn't it? Like, when you look at the schedule...
You still got to win your division games.
When you look at the schedule and you're like, hey, the Cardinals are coming up, that's a bad one because that's like, oh, that's the Cardinals. That's our biggest rival. And but when you look at things like the Pirates, like, that one's... I'm like, oh, that's a division game. Okay. Well, I know we're way better than them, but it's still a division game, so who knows? So that's why I said 3. You said 4. Neither one of us got it dead on, but I was slightly closer. Rich, this week they have 2 against the Pirates, 3 against the Braves, and 1 against those St. Louis Cardinals. I think I like that number 3 again. In 6 games, we should get half of these. I hope.
Yeah, I'll play it safe this week and go 3 as well. I like our pitching matchups with the Buccos, with Imanaga and Jameson Tejon going. Pitching matchups haven't been given for the Braves series yet, but the Braves are the Braves, so I think we could. It wouldn't surprise me if we got swept, but if we can get one of those 3 games against the Braves, I'd be happy. And
honestly,
you never know what's going to happen against the Cardinals.
With the way we're playing, I would not be surprised if we could get 2 out of the Braves. Like, we could get 2. Or we could get swept. I don't think we sweep. I don't think there's a way that we sweep the Braves. But I think that we could win 2, or we could get swept.
And then the Cardinals, even a bad Cardinals team gets up for those Cubs games.
Yep.
Especially in St. Louis.
Yep.
So
100%.
I'm going to go 3 as well.
Yeah. Okay. With that, Rich, let's head to the gridiron as we want to talk about some spring football and then some NFL football. Rich, let's talk. Did you watch at all this week?
No, I did not. I didn't watch Memphis, and I didn't watch any UFL.
Yeah, I didn't watch UFL at all. So, Rich, your team lost 47-23 against Arlington, dropping the Memphis. What's that team name? The Memphis.
The
Showboats down to 1-6. Not doing much showboating right now. They play Michigan today, I believe. Rich, how did the St. Louis Battlehawks do?
Well, the Battlehawks lost 30-26 to Birmingham, so they're 5-2. Their next game will be at home with the DC Defenders.
Okay, Rich, let's go to the NFL. This week was the schedule release. I had a crazy idea. We don't know. We genuinely don't know what the Bears are going to be like this year. We both have said that we like what they've done in the offseason. We like the moves they've made. We think that they have improved significantly. But we have no clue what they're actually going to play like. So we are going to go through the year's schedule. We're just going to say win-losses. Keep track for yourself, Rich.
I do. I got to see if I have a pen, which I do.
Yeah. Keep track for yourself. And this way, again, we're not holding each other accountable for this one. This one is literally just your initial thoughts. What do you think? I'm not even putting which games I think that are wins and losses. I'm just tallying wins and losses.
Yep.
That's all I'm doing.
Same here.
Hey, Rich.
So this week we are, like Mike was saying, we're going to go over the Bears' schedule, just a rough estimate, gut feeling, win or loss, because a lot of things changed during the course of preseason. Injuries happen during the year,
and let's be honest, we could see our team come out and start instantly gel and look like the greatest team of all time. And after preseason, we could say this team's going 16-0, or they're going to win their first 16 and lose the 17th game that they play. We could say they could be terrible, and maybe we think they're going to lose all their games. But with no actual facts, we're going to give a guess. Okay?
Yep. So next week we'll go over and kind of look at the Amazon games on Thursday Night Football and their Black Friday game, and then the last week of our schedule preview, we're going to look at the international games.
Yeah,
which teams are playing internationally this year.
And again, these are just going to be: do we like the games? Do we think that Amazon? Because Amazon kind of keeps getting stuck with terrible games. We're going to look and say, do we think they got better? How do we feel about the schedule? The international games are very similarly. It's just going to be, do we like the city? Is it a game that if you could, you would go to? Blah, blah, blah. All that, okay? So, week number 1, Bears, Titans in Chicago. What do you think?
I think that's a win. I think Tennessee's still going to be adjusting to a new coaching staff. And they lost Derrick Henry. So, I think they can get a win out of that one.
Everything you said, and they're still they're in a rebuilding phase. So yeah, I think that's a win for the Bears. Week 2, they go down to Houston to play the Texans.
I'll let you go first on this one, Mike.
See, this one, if there were ties, I would almost think to put a tie. But I'm gonna say the Bears are gonna edge it out. CJ. No, I'm not. CJ Stroud. He's a proven commodity from last year. I'm going to give it a loss for the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to go a loss here, too. That Texans team is looking like it's going to be a good football team. They snuck into the playoffs last year, and they got better with bringing in Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon. So I'm going to take that one as a loss. Mike, week 3, they stay on the road. They stay in the AFC South as they will go to Indianapolis to play the Colts.
That's going to be a second win for the Bears as the Colts, again, not looking that great. I don't think.
I think it'll be a close one, but Anthony Richardson, because he's an electric quarterback, but I think he still still erratic.
Yep.
So I think the Bears defense will be the difference maker in this game, and I think I'm going to give them a win in Indianapolis.
Okay. Then the Bears come home to Chicago, and they play the Rams. Rich, what's this going to look like?
This could go either way. I really do. I think it can go either way. I'm going to go a win because I think the Rams defense is still going to be struggling to see, or kind of rebuilding themselves in the first year without Aaron Darnold.
Okay. I agree it's a win, but then I'm going to go on to make an even more bold prediction.
Okay.
Sean McVay out at the end of the season.
Fired or retiring? Or just moving on from the Rams?
Mutual leaving.
A mutual parting of ways.
A mutual parting of ways.
Why do you think that?
I think the Rams actually are on a downhill slope again, and they continue to, and the problem is in LA, if you're not winning, you're not getting people aren't going to come, and ownership knows that with the Rams, so they know they have to do something to keep people there. Sean McVay's not going to give them a winning season. He's out. My first bold prediction of the NFL season for 2024.
All right, I can see that. I mean, they're almost heading into quarterback purgatory because there's no good backup plan when Matthew Stafford decides to either retire or they choose not to extend his contract.
Yep.
And they already lost their best player in Aaron Darnold. So I could almost see that as Sean McVay retires, either takes a year off or he takes the big fat contract from a team that's looking to make a big splash in the coaching carousel. So I can see that. I can see that happening.
Okay.
So Mike, week 5, they stay at home and the Carolina Panthers come to town.
Yeah, this is going to be a win. Panthers suck.
I agree.
I'm going to say chalk up another win as the Jaguars come in town. 3 home games in a row. They're feeling good. They are on a run. Chalk up win number 5.
Check your schedule, Mike. Week number 6, it is technically a neutral site game. This one is in England at Tottenham Hotspur.
That's all right. Bears are going to win anyway. Bears are still going to win because the Jaguars still suck.
Yeah, I think it's the first time the Bears have had an international game, but yeah, I think they can get the win here. Week number 7 is a bye week.
Yep. Week number 8, the Washington. We go to our nation's capital and play the Washington Commanders.
So you're coming off a bye week. Win or loss, at least you have a bye week. You're not coming back from across the pond.
Yeah.
And going to it. This is tough, not knowing what type of shape the Commanders team will be in with that rookie quarterback. But
again, we have a rookie quarterback.
We do. Man, it's still tough to know where this one is.
Okay, here's the question, Rich.
Okay.
let's say they improved in quarterback. What else have they done in the offseason to help them to make you think that they can win this game? The Commanders.
Yeah, I guess you're right. They hired a new coach. I'll go a win, but I'm not. It's not a confident win.
Then we go from East Coast.
Are you giving them?
Oh yeah, I gave them a win.
A win in week number 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we go from East Coast all the way to the West Coast. Well, we go to Carolina, or we go to Arizona, and we see the Cardinals versus the Bears. Rich, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking this could be a trap game, and we leave with a loss.
I think it could be a trap game, but I'm going to say we should win this game, so I'm going to give it the win.
All right, Mike. Then, week number 10, the rebuilding New England Patriots come to Chicago.
Man, Rich, it's hard for me to say it, but I think they're going to get win number 8 of the season right here.
That'll be win number 7 for me against those Patriots.
That's because you gave the Cardinals that Cardinal loss, but yeah, sure. And then the toughest part of this part of the season has been easy. We have 7 or 8 wins in 9 games, right?
Yep.
The first 9 games of the season, man, it's rough to say, but it looks like an easy schedule there. Then we have our division, and we have in between the division and the beginning of the end of the season, we have 2 games that aren't easy with NFC West teams.
Yes, we do. So, Mike, we start with a Week 11 game, the Packers in Chicago.
So here's my rule. The Bears will win 1 game against the Packers and lose 1 game against the Packers. Generally, I think the home game is the more likely that we win, but I actually think this is going to be a loss. We're going to be on such a hype train coming into this game that Jordan Love is going to do it, and our bubble's going to get popped. We're going to get another loss in the season, or a third loss, whatever you want to count it as. I'm going to say our second loss of the season comes at home as the Packers come into town.
Yeah, I think this will probably be a loss for me as well. So, Mike, we stay in the division with a Week 12 matchup as the Vikings come into Chicago.
What do you think is going to happen on this game, Rich?
I'm going to go with a win because I think that this could be about that time. This is when they finally turn the season over to J.J. McCarthy and see what they've got.
I agree 100%, and I think it's going to be a win either way because, again, even though the core of this team is still around, the Vikings are rebuilding because as soon as you lose your main quarterback, I don't care who you have around them, you're still rebuilding on the team. Look for that to be a matchup that the Bears should win. Then we go up, again, staying in the division, we go up to Detroit to play the Lions. Again, interdivisional games. I think they win 1, lose 1. And I think this one's even worse. I think this is a loss because I think the Lions are the belle of the ball. They are the top of this division. I think they take a loss here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the loss as well. Yeah, they're hard to beat at home. That they made a team that plays great indoors, which is where they play a predominantly good amount of their games. So games up in Detroit in the Dome, so I got to give them the loss.
Yep.
Week number 14, Mike, they head out to the West Coast to take on the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara.
Man, I wish I could tell you that the losses stopped in Detroit, but man, I think this is a loss.
Yeah, the 49ers are going to be a tough team, one that could come out of the NFC again as a Super Bowl contender. So that's going to be a loss for me.
So then we had December 16th. We're going to be a primetime game. We're going to be in Minnesota again. I actually think this is one of the few times I'm going to say the Bears get 2 wins against one division rival, and it's going to be against these Vikings. I think there's going to be some struggles going on in Minnesota. They're going to be questioning themselves, and they're going to be hurting on the season. I hate saying it. I hope that's not the case for my friends around me, but I have a hard time seeing them being as good as they were last year, having lost Kirk Cousins.
I agree, Mike. Even though this is in Minnesota, I think it's a loss. I think it's a win as well. So I got them at 9-5 so far, Mike. You have them at 10-4, if I'm following.
Yep.
All right, Mike. Week number 16, the Lions come to town for a December 22nd game in Chicago.
You know what? Games, we play a game. We look like it's going to be great, but I think we lose to the Lions. We actually take 2 losses to the Lions.
I'm going to give this one a win, Mike, because they're in Chicago and Detroit just doesn't play as well in the cold weather.
I think you're accurate there, but this Detroit team's going to be great this year. So then the Seahawks come to town
for a Thursday night game on Amazon Prime.
Right. And it's the day after Christmas. I'm going to give it a win.
I'm going to give it a win on Boxing Day as well. The Seahawks are adjusting to a new coaching staff. They really didn't do much on the offensive side of the ball. I think by week 17, they're going to have their defense figured out under new coach Mike McDonald. But
it's cold weather.
It's cold weather. So I'm going to go with a win against the Seahawks as well.
Yeah. And then we end the season up in Green Bay. This could be one of those record-setting cold games in Green Bay on January 5th. Very high potential of extreme cold. This is going to be an old-fashioned slugfest between the Bears and the Packers. I think in a game like that, I think I'm going to give the win to the Packers there.
I agree, Mike. I mean,
so Rich,
if it's going to be an extremely cold weather game, you need a good running game, and I just don't trust the Bears' running game.
Yeah, as I look at it, it looks like I believe we both have the Bears at 11-6.
We do. I mean, I could see that game with. I mean, I could clearly see the games with Washington 8 and 9. Those week 8 and 9 games with the Commanders and the Cardinals going either way.
Yep.
And maybe even that game maybe one of those games against Detroit goes either way. We could lose both games to Detroit, or we win both games against Detroit. Same thing with Minnesota.
Yeah, and I could see them being. I could easily see them being a 12-win team, and I can easily see them being an 8-win team.
A 7-win team, or even I think that they're going to improve.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think they're above I think they're 8 or better, but I don't think we see much better than that. At worst, I don't know, but I totally think I don't think it gets any worse than 8 wins,
And if they go 8-8, that's an improvement on last year, as they went 7-9 last year.
No, they went 8-9 last year.
Oh, I thought it was 7-9. Okay.
Because we have 17 games now, Rich.
Oh, I was told there was no math.
Yeah, that's.
But
right.
Yeah.
so it was one of those. It's one of those things where, again, we have nothing to go on what any of these teams look like. We haven't. We know what our mental test and how we think they've improved over the offseason, but that's it. Our power rankings that we do, that's kind of what I used on it to see what happens, and that's why I'm not married to this. I'm not holding either of us accountable for whether, like, in 4 weeks, 8 weeks when we're picking, when we're starting our NFL coverage and we go through the schedule again, this could look completely different.
Exactly, because we'll have preseason games to consider. Training camp battles will be sorted out.
Yep.
Injuries may or may not have happened, or injuries may or may not have happened with the other teams that we're playing.
Yeah. So
as well.
So I know that we put this out there. It's content. That's why we did it. It's not actually. It's informed-ish is what I would call it.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay.
All right, Mike. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. So, Mike, we are going to talk, and our listeners, we're going to be talking about the Masked Singer. So if you're not a fan of Masked Singer, but love our show, feel free to press the pause button or tune out, and we'll talk at you next week. So, Mike, if they're watching us here on Facebook and want to take us on the road, where can they find us?
You can find us anywhere where you get your podcasts. Spotify. Spotify is our main one right now. I'm trying to get it back linked to Apple Podcasts and getting those back running the way that they should. And then Google Podcasts and the other sites that you normally get your podcast. Rich, they're listening to us, but they want to see our pretty faces, but hate Mark Zuckerberg. What should they do?
Look for us on YouTube. You can find our YouTube page by searching Balls and Sticks, the podcast.
Yep.
And Mike, if they're listening to our show and they heard us talking about our poll question, where can they find our weekly poll question?
You can find that at facebook.com/ballsandsticks or facebook.com/fans of Balls and Sticks. Rich, with that spoiler alert, let's get into the Masked Singer. This week, we had our final three. They did the Road 2. Man, I hope this means we're not going to have a Road 2, but guess what? I guarantee you we're going to have another 2-hour episode this week for our finale.
Yeah, I'm hoping with the finale that it's actual performances, to where they perform twice. They get 2 performances in that 2-hour time slot, and you have you have 2 performances to judge who should be the winner of the Masked Singer this year.
Yeah, and hopefully, but I don't know what they're going to do. So, but that's for next week's problem. This week, 2 hours, the first hour, no need to watch it. Honestly, no need to watch it. But the second hour was great. So we'll go off the first.
The first performance, Mike. Yeah. Who was your favorite performer out of just the solo song? Who is your favorite performance of the night? Because that's how they vote for the winners, Mike. It's who is your favorite performer of the night.
My favorite performer was Goldfish, actually.
Okay. Yours? The Gumball.
You do like the Gumball a lot, and I think he did great. You ought to know. It was sung by the Goldfish, sung by Alanis Morissette, edited for TV, obviously, and then the Gumball sang "I Lived," and then finally the Clocks and the Clocks sang "Dancing in the Streets" by Martha and the Vandells.
Still, all 3 had a great performance, but there was clearly
a bottom singer. everybody did, like, honestly, everybody did great. But one of them was slightly less on this one, and it was the clock. Honestly, after the first round, I'm like, well, the clock's going, like, I'm like, the clock's going home. Like, but they did announce that they did a 3-way battle royale. And so then we had to listen to the battle royale. By the way, the battle royale, I think it was 100% a tie across the board. They all did great. They took a moment like this. Each one of them made it their own while also staying true to the original. I think every one of them did a great job and deserved, like, if it was just based on the battle royale, I can't pick one. Honestly, I couldn't pick one to go home.
No, even with the battle royale, I thought that the clock was the weakest of the three.
I didn't think so. I thought she did a great job with that one, and I 100% thought it was great. But you know, then you got to go in. For me, it's 100% tied at the battle royale. Then you have to go into the other performance of the night. If it's tied after that, then you have to go to previous stuff. And we did forget to say that the group together performed "Higher Love" by Stevie Wonder, or by Steve Winwood. Sorry, Steve Winwood. So again, I think you got to go to the first round, and honestly, the clock deserved to go home, and rightfully she did.
And it also kind of followed our theory of when the judges are onto the trail of, if one of the judges absolutely has it nailed, knowing who it is, that person's going home.
Yeah, honestly,
and they had it.
They did. It was Thelma Houston. Honestly, but again, here's my real question for you, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
If the clock would have gone on, would you have been mad? I'm not saying that you would say, well, I didn't think she deserved it, but would you she did well enough that if she went on, I wouldn't have been mad.
I think I would have been slightly upset, because I think you talk about like peaks, and she's been on the downward trajectory as far as, man, her performances have cleared. There's been other people that have performed better than her, and she still moved on.
I think maybe, but I think last week they got it right. I think this week they got it right, but I also don't think she was that far off that she deserved that if she would have gone on, I would have been upset. Again, I think they got it right, but I wouldn't have been upset either way. So,
all right. So going into the season finale next week, Mike, do you think it's going to be the Goldfish or the Gumball?
Honestly, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think they both have done an amazing job. I know who you think, but
I'm probably going to be pulling for the Gumball.
Yeah.
But with both singers, they got it right. I'll be interested to see what they do for the 2-hour season finale, but this is probably going to be the first, probably with their recent seasons, this is going to be one where I'm not going to be upset of the outcome.
Yeah, 100%.
Last couple seasons, it's been, really?
No, I totally agree with you.
Kidding me.
So, with that, let's go to our Mario Kart update, as we had our state championship in Marshalltown this week. Man, we came up against a great team. Played them twice. The second time we actually did better, but man, we're the smallest team in the division. And the next closest team is like 200 kids larger than us, maybe more. And some of the teams are 2 to 3 times our size. So it's like, it was a little rough. We came in 8th place. We did not play our best, and we came up against the team that won it, Nevada. which is significantly larger than our school. We played them twice in a row. The first 2 rounds we played Nevada. It was rough, but I don't know. I think the kids did a great. They played their best that day. I don't think they played their best overall. So it happens. I think we'll be back next year. We're not graduating anybody. I hope we're back to the division we should be in, which is the lower division. But I don't make those decisions. So.
And what happened with League of Legends, Mike?
Oh, we had lost the week. I thought I had said last week that we had lost the match, so we were done for the season. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was, and then the barbecue place that I was looking forward to was closed.
Oh.
So, okay. With that, Rich, I got 2 shout-outs that I got to give. I don't know if you're going to give your shout-out this week or if you're going to do it.
I'll give it this week. I appreciate the reminder. Sometimes I depend on my calendar probably too much. Yeah. Calendar and Facebook too much to remind me of these things.
Right. So my buddy Solomon Stroop, who is the new dupo on our fantasy league, watches most weeks. His birthday was Monday, the 13th. Called and wished him a happy birthday, talked to him a little bit. And then the 14th is my nephew. So last week I talked about my nephew graduating college. This week I talked about his birthday. It was Tuesday. Rich, man, it's a crazy week. And then I want to give a shout out to all the graduates graduation is tomorrow for Okoboji. I got interns. I got an intern graduating, and I got 2 esports kids graduating this week. Great job, guys. Love seeing it. And then a bunch of people from church. We have like 4 of them at church that are all graduating this year.
Wow.
So we like after the show, the kids are napping. After nap time, we're going to go into graduation parties galore. We got 3 of them we're going to do. And then we're going to come home and rest, I hope. So, okay, Rich.
All right, Mike. So I got to give a shout out. My nephew JD Couture. They had a nice 8th grade ceremony, recognition event, graduation down at the school in Brimfield. So it was nice to see him get recognized for that achievement.
Yeah.
And also get maybe a small tour of the high school that I'll be going to next year. They pointed out some stuff on where his locker is going to be, where some of the bigger events will take place that will probably end up going down there, like a band or a choir concert, or where the
basketball game
or a sporting event. Yeah, like a basketball game.
Yeah.
Basketball game. So great job, JD. And Mike, I appreciate the reminder. You shouldn't have to do it, but I appreciate it when you do. But it's your birthday on the 20th, so happy birthday, Mike.
Thanks. It's gonna be a crazy weekend, and then we have at least one more birthday next weekend to talk about. So, and my goddaughter. Is that next week? No, my goddaughter's next week. Yeah, my goddaughter's next week, so I'll do that one next week. But with that, Rich, what's it time to do?
Mike, why don't you go ahead and roll that outro?
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.